And welcome back to Mixed Media Live. Look at that. I look pretty sleek. New camera going on here. Look at that. Look at the focus pull.
I think the frame rate's high, right?
It might be. I was using my phone before, so I don't know what kind of auto, throttling was happening with the frame rates.
Yeah, you definitely look smoother to me, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it feels nice. It feels like oddly too professional for what we've been doing.
It's like proper depth of field looking stuff here.
Yeah, it's real. It's like the camera's actually focusing on me real time. It's not some fake AI stuff. So it's optical. So it actually looks good. But welcome back to Mixed Media, our weekly show, always happening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Unfortunately, it looks like Ben's not going to be able to make it today, but the show must go on. We've got two awesome segments going forward, and you'll be able to listen to the podcast as we create it as usual. A few housekeeping things. The locals page. Actually, I didn't say what we do here at Mixed Media. Let me say that first. So Mixed Media, and here at Mixed Media, we produce a podcast based around anything art, basically, whether it's pop culture, philosophy, reviews, interviewing artists, and mostly around the indie sort of space. Well, maybe not in terms of topics, but in terms of interviews at least. And we're trying to grow. So if you enjoy any of these podcasts, if you enjoy spending time with us, if you enjoy listening to the podcast, if you're listening in post, please, the best thing you could do is share with someone your favorite episode that you learned the most from, that you enjoyed the most, whatever it is. Share it with your friends, and that helps us more than anything. But the second thing that you could do to help us is to head over to mixedmediapodcast.com or mixedmedia.locals.com. Either places you can find a place to support us with a monthly donation. Sounds weird. Sounds like we're a nonprofit. It's not a nonprofit. But it helps us to increase the production value, get the podcast shown to more people, cover expenses, all that kind of stuff. And it's much appreciated. If you go over there, you get a whole bunch of perks, including guaranteed interviews and reviewing your work and a whole bunch of stuff that I think is quite valuable. So go over to those places to check it out. Yeah, so I guess we'll introduce ourselves. I guess that's something that we should do. Unfortunately, the plate for Ben's going to show up, and he's absent. But here it is. So I'm
out of order.
Oh, we are in the wrong spot. I see. I thought it felt weird.
Wait,
I thought it felt weird. This is how it normally is. Yeah. Okay, I'll fix that for next episode. So those aren't our names. But my name is Irving Nestor. I'm a filmmaker and media entrepreneur. I own a company called Ariella, and I love doing all that stuff. I love doing what I do.
I'm Nathan Nestor. I'm a 3D modeler and game developer.
So normally we open up with how our weeks have been going and news, and so that's what we're going to do. So how was your week?
It's been all right. Nothing really that eventful. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, for me, it was good. Got new projects going that's bringing in money, which is always nice, but not the tiny projects that I was doing before, which is also nice. I've got this new camera, so let me talk about that real quick. I've got the Sony a7 IV, which has the ability to be a webcam internally, and my goodness, has autofocus just become almost futuristically good. I've never experienced autofocus that was this pristine and perfect. It's like a camcorder, right? Like camcorders have been having amazing autofocus since the dawn of time, but these DSLR and mirrorless type cameras, the YouTuber type camera, basically, they've been lagging for at least a decade now in terms of having a camcorder like autofocus. But this is pretty close. This is like, I think 99.5% to a camcorder in terms of just absolute beautiful autofocus. And I've been enjoying the heck out of that. That's been the most useful thing about this camera, is not having to worry about how the heck am I going to pull focus when I'm trying to create really quickly. So, yeah, I love this camera, man. I like it a lot. And the other thing is connecting as a webcam, like no extra devices, literally just USB in, no extra software. It just recognizes it as if it's a webcam. You'd be surprised how useful that is, that feature. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for me. How about news? I think there's huge gaming news actually.
Yeah, there's only one piece that is going to, any bad press that anyone was going to have, they got lucky because this is one news story that just overshadows anything. So
Yeah.
yeah, Microsoft has acquired Activision Blizzard, which is most likely going to be the biggest gaming news of the year, and probably is like the biggest gaming news of the past like 2 years.
Yeah.
With some maybe some competition for that, but what they will do with it is unclear. Is a very like it just happened one day, and then like there was not really like we're talking about it. It just happened. Presumably, Activision Blizzard was at its cheaper point given all the bad press it was getting, and so Microsoft was like, "Oh, that's a good deal," and took it. Maybe.
I mean, technically they haven't bought it yet. The papers haven't been signed yet. Yeah.
Yeah. But most likely they will buy it pretty much. Like almost guaranteed. So what does this mean for Activision Blizzard? It's unclear because Microsoft has said just about nothing about it. It's so okay. So last year, Microsoft acquired Bethesda, and what they did with that is they said, "Oh, the next Elder Scrolls will not be on PlayStation." Right? So it begs the question: will they do that? But for like all of these titles under Activision Blizzard, and for reference, Activision Blizzard has COD. I posted an image in the Discord. I'll just read off of it. Some of them: COD, Crash Bandicoot, Tony Hawk, Guitar Hero, World of Warcraft, Overwatch, Diablo, Hearthstone, StarCraft, etc. And Candy Crush. So those are like the biggest titles currently, or some of the biggest titles at least. They already confirmed not that long ago, I might have been today or yesterday or something like that, that they will not make COD they'll leave it on PlayStation at least that.
Oh wow!
But
I'm surprised they made that promise so quickly.
I think it would make a lot of people angry like I don't know. I feel like
they get boycotted or something.
Game that can be played just anywhere. It's like I don't know. It'd be very. I don't know. It'd be very odd. I feel like if that was a thing. I don't know why exactly. It doesn't feel like that kind of game, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, people buy.
It like it should be pushing numbers.
What you say again? No, you say again.
I think it's because it feels like the game that is just made to push numbers, just sales, like nothing else to it.
Yeah, for sure. And people are like PlayStation users. They've been yearly purchasers of COD. They just feel like they would feel like they would have been screwed, right? Like they have their console, they can't change it, especially these days, and so they're kind of just stuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, that's the thing. And Sony stock like died afterwards. Let me see what it is right now because I know these things change very fast, so it could have gone back up, stuff like that. Sony's biggest industry is the gaming industry, given that which is interesting because I mean the average person like outside of our spheres of interest would probably think like cameras or something like that. But that's not their biggest thing. It's just PlayStation essentially and stuff like that. I think it makes up for like 20-something% of their revenue, something like that. Hopefully, I didn't get that wrong. But so that being the competitor, if Microsoft is looking good, being the owners of Xbox, then it's essentially like a zero-sum game there, right? There's no they just go at each other pretty much. So they lost $20 billion in stock value, I believe. It seems like it has not gone back up. So it took a dip, slowly went down, took a dip again, then like rose up crazily as people probably thought, wait a minute, this is too cheap. And then it started going back down again, and now it's sort of steady. So, uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's pretty much all the news I have. Oh, one more thing. Genshin Impact is under a new owner. I don't know anything about that, but yeah.
The power consolidation in gaming over the past 3 years has been insane.
It's bad for sure. It is looking worrying. Like it was already worrying before. Now it's like very worrying, I guess. I also, when's the next company going to just consume EA? I'm waiting for that.
EA is
That is the next
gigantic,
play, I feel
though.
like,
Yeah,
Not that Microsoft necessarily, because they just spent on it was how much was it? $69 billion or $70 billion, something like that.
yeah. It was
That spent on
$69.5 billion, I think.
yeah. I don't know how much they have left to spend, so I don't know. If they could just. I assume they could. I assume, I don't know if it's true, that they are not in a position where they could just consume EA with no question, just like, yeah, not a big deal kind of thing. But there are other big players like Amazon and Netflix who've been getting into gaming. Netflix, like, lightly so. It's like they dip their foot in, they just left. Oh yeah, never mind. And then there's well, I think they're coming back with that. And Amazon's like just been in the background. I mean, they've had Twitch for a while, but aside from that, they just, I don't know, like working in the background, doing things slowly. But who knows? Maybe they'll buy EA. So,
Dude, I don't know. It's crazy. Oh man.
I mean, yeah, it's not looking the greatest.
Gaming is gonna like enter the like trust busting era of like the film went through like right before the golden age, basically.
I think the problem is that, like, I don't know. It's like we're too far from any such monopoly happening, right? Because it's not really a monopoly. It's just the fact that there are so few of them. Oh, there might in the future, at least. There will be so few
Well,
of these
the
things.
thing is, like, that gets into the whole what is a monopoly thing, which is originally defined a lot more broadly than the way it's applied today. Like a strict monopoly doesn't have to be the only way you think of a monopoly. So, yeah, it's like the breadth, right, of control. It's like what you can consider is like Microsoft has no specialty, is increasingly having zero specialty. Going forward, they just own things.
Yeah.
So, and then they just profit off of obscene amounts of capital that doesn't just buy you stuff, right? Buys you a lot of advantage in different ways. So,
I think the natural progression of the situation is that we get a Microsoft universe, like a fighting game, right? I think this is like Smash Bros, but Microsoft.
We're gonna have Steve from Minecraft, and
Yeah,
and we have some World of Warcraft characters, a Candy Crush
Codman.
character. Yeah,
and Tony Hawk himself, apparently.
voiced by Tony Hawk as well, of course.
Uh,
Well, for me, I only have one news item as well, so I'm going to take the whole news segment to talk about it. But some Baldwin updates. That story's hilarious. I'm definitely going to do an update episode. There's enough material that I could probably do 10 more episodes about it. But and for those who have been living under a rock, Alec Baldwin shot a cinematographer on the set of Rust some months ago. It's been a while now, actually. I don't even remember when it happened. And it made the news. People were simultaneously saying guns don't belong on set, and also saying Alec Baldwin should be put in jail, and then became like this weird internet feud thing that really has no relation to real life. It's an interesting case for a lot of reasons, a lot of like mental experiments. There's a lot of questions you can ask about justice and blah, 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 blah. But it's also dramatic and hilarious and just silly. But for the person that somebody died, which is, sad, this is just a ridiculous situation. So here are some new details about the Alec Baldwin shooting. So the biggest news coming out of this week I think this lawsuit was filed actually at the end of last week, if I recall correctly, was that the Armor is suing the prop company that rented rather, the guns to them and supplied them with the blanks, dummy rounds, and live rounds, question mark? I don't understand what's being alleged about the live rounds. I'm not sure I understand that the prop company sells live rounds, because in the lawsuit it says that they don't sell live rounds, but it says that they received live rounds. So
is it like maybe it's supposed to be like, maybe it's just like they weren't supposed to sell those, but then they did anyways, kind of like they don't advertise that they sell them, but they did.
The thing is, that's what it sounds like, but the lawsuit doesn't make that straightforward accusation, which makes me think that they're just kind of saying stuff, if you get what I'm saying. This lawsuit's very bad. Like, very bad in terms of it's not going to succeed. It's definitely a lawsuit that was the Armor.
Who's saying this?
The Armor, Hannah Gutierrez Reed is suing the prop company. Basically safety officers suing the prop company. And yeah, so I mean, that alone surprised me. I was like, why is she suing the prop company? Okay, so she accuses them of labeling a box of dummy rounds, and you can go back to our episode about the situation to understand the difference between dummy rounds and live rounds and all that jazz. It's a great series, 3-episode series. We have a playlist on YouTube if you want to check it out. But if you just search Rust or Alec Baldwin or Halyna Hutchins, you'll find it on our different sources. But basically, these dummy rounds are supposed to be nothing but just shells, and so she alleges that this box of dummy rounds was mislabeled in such a way that made her construe it as dummy rounds when it should have been when they were live rounds. I don't know. The lawsuit's extremely confusing, which is never a good sign. Like, let me for people who don't normally read lawsuits or look at text of lawsuits, let me explain something. When you write a lawsuit, you want it to be easily it's not, you don't write legalese, right? Like people have this image in their head when you write a lawsuit that you're just writing a whole bunch of legalese. Yeah, when you're citing the law, it's going to be some legalese. When you're citing opinions about the law, what's called case law, when you're citing those things, it's going to be a bit of legalese. When you're accusing facts, right, when you're just saying X happened, Y happened, you usually say it extremely plainly because you want a judge or whoever's reading to very clearly understand what you're saying so that, they can be instantly convinced, right? You want to say things in the most convincing, simple manner, minimal but effective facts, in your lawsuit, right? This lawsuit is nothing like that. It's just kind of like a diary of all the bad things that happened on set without tying it to the prop company. In this whole time, looking at the lawsuit, looking at the text of the lawsuit, listening to some analyses of the lawsuit, I'm like, why isn't she just suing the production? It's confusing because she just kind of complains about the production the entire lawsuit, but doesn't tie any of this back to the prop company in any concrete way other than vague mentions of the employees. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. So I'm curious as to whether even. Okay.
The prop company just sells them stuff, just sells them props, right? They have no other involvement. They just give it to them. It's like a normal like a Walmart essentially for props, right? That's that essentially.
Sort of, but they also can provide training. So part of the reason why they get involved here is that the particular person, a particular armorer at that prop company, had mentored Hannah Gutierrez Reed in this particular firearm style. So. That's the thing is, I don't know how relevant that is because it seems as though anything that he has to do with anything is more just interpersonal drama than it is I don't know. It's like he sided with her enemies instead of her, so she's mad. I don't know. It's just okay. I'm not sure what you're alleging exactly, which is not a good sign. You need to, anyone should be able to read your lawsuit and know what you're alleging, right? But in any case, though, so she said bad labeling, then she went off on details, like I said, about the set that have nothing to do with the prop company. She said that her dad was supposed to be the original prop master, or sorry, armor, which is interesting because she, yeah, that was a connection everyone made immediately. It was like her dad was the legendary, armor Hollywood guy who taught people. So apparently he was supposed to be the original person to do the job, but then he missed a flight, and then she was subbed in. I don't know. That's kind of a bizarre thing, but that's what it says. So.
Oh, I was about to say, couldn't you just take a new flight? But I forgot that this thing was like under like 2 days, right? It's like a very short.
Well, the thing is, this is 12 days, right? So, I mean, maybe, I don't know. Maybe she's so cheap, that they were like, we'll just stick with her. I don't know. I don't get it. We'll find out, I guess.
But
eventually.
wait. But she was known for having issues before, though, with this stuff, right?
Yeah, on the Nick Cage set, yeah.
So they subbed in the legendary guy for her. I mean, okay. I get that she's close by, but I feel like you did it temporarily or something. I don't know. Unless it was. Wait, what day were we on when this happened? Do you know?
I think it was towards the end. I can't remember what day it was.
Okay, yeah. Let's say like maybe like have her temporarily and then sub someone else in. But it seems like they just had her there for the whole thing then. But.
Dude, like this whole thing, like it's so foreign to me from my understanding of film. I'm like, what was this production? Like this production was abnormal in every way possible. Like, why was it run this way? but that's how it was run. So remember the 2 negligent discharges that we talked about as well that happened during the shooting of Rust? So her lawsuit says that other people negligently discharged the firearm, not her, which... Yeah, that actually is interesting because the way the people had been talking about the complaints that the crew was making made it sound like she had negligently discharged it. But when I remember now, it's not clear whether it's her who does it. It's just assumed that it's her who does it because she's testing these weapons, if you get what I'm saying. But she names the people who negligently discharged the firearms the times before. So I'm going to assume that's actually true, unless... It's like a bold-faced lie that will be like uncovered, uncovered like literally like tomorrow. I'm gonna assume that's true, which is interesting. And her allegation is that the live round got in because someone sabotaged the gun because it was left unattended for 5 minutes before the scene was the practice session in question. So then the question is, why did you leave the gun for 5 minutes? That doesn't make any sense. This is exactly... But her excuse is that she left 2 people in charge of watching it, which could be just fine. I'm not sure if I would let untrained people watch something like that, but, okay. That could be an excuse.
Though, right?
Huh?
She was the only person whose job that was, though, right? Which I can see if you have to do something else, it's probably not her sole responsibility. It's probably the other thing she needs to do, right? Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of get that if you need to go somewhere, but for a short period of time, like 5 minutes, okay, I guess. Yeah. But especially that there are 2 people, so it's like you have to rely. You mean both people have to mess up? It's like. I feel like that's a decent bar for just looking at it, just watching it, nothing more.
Yeah, exactly. But the crazy thing is she said that they walked away and left it unattended for those 5 minutes, and unbeknownst to her. And I was like, okay, so did you come back and find the gun unattended? In which case, what should you do? Is the question. Is you should go check the rounds again. That I feel like.
Oh, this is the day. This is like before.
Yeah, this is the day. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
So she's saying that.
Wait, did you say the names of these people?
No, she didn't name those people though.
Because I feel like those are like
the prime suspects.
The people, right?
She's saying it's sabotage, and those people would be literally prime suspects, but she's not naming them in the lawsuit, which is bizarre. When she was willing to name the other people who negligently discharged the gun, so it's kind of bizarre again. Now the thing is, I still don't think it helps her at all, because if she left it for 5 minutes and came back and no one was there, she should presume the firearm's unsafe and then recheck the firearm before doing something again, right? Like that again seems like her problem. If she came back and they were there, but she didn't know they left for 5 minutes, then we're actually in gray zone territory where now that's just hashing it out in the courts to see what a jury would think about that, in terms of what's reasonable.
Yeah, it's still weird that she didn't say the names, but even then, yeah, if she came back and she found it, like maybe they left for 5 minutes and came back before she came back, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Especially if they knew like how long she'd be gone or whatever, and then they just didn't say anything, and then someone else told her eventually or something.
Yeah,
and that would make sense, I guess. But I don't know. What are the odds that two people are both had the mindset that they should leave, right? And someone else or themselves tamper with it at the same time? I don't know. I guess it's possible for sure, right? I guess it's for sure within the realm of possibility. I wouldn't bet on it, I guess.
Well, the thing is, her theory revolves around sabotage. So I guess she would say it was plotted that way. That's why it's so convenient sounding. Which I don't know. I don't know what happened. So maybe this case has become so bizarre that maybe it was plotted. I don't know. Who knows?
What I'm saying is, like, I don't think about it. Like, all the other things in my brain that could have happened, like, I mean, these all seem pretty low chance though. So I guess it could really be any one of these.
Yeah, I mean, there's no evidence for it. It doesn't seem likely, but that's what she's alleging. So I don't know. So her lawsuit makes her look really. Oh, the other thing that she reveals is that Mr. Baldwin failed to come to his cross-draw training that was scheduled with her, which I assume is also true because, again, that's a very verifiable fact, right? Like, I'm sure there's some.
He was also practicing it himself, which is interesting, not with somebody.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And she even said that he's not supposed to point the gun at anyone. That's against set protocol, number one, and number two, that he's not supposed to be doing that without her being around. And she alleges that she wasn't there. Oh, not alleges. I think that's pretty much confirmed now that she wasn't even in the room when the incident happened. So it's just. It's just wild. Now, so her lawsuit actually makes her look worse, in my opinion, because she's doing the Baldwin thing where she basically makes a bunch of excuses that just sound like things that mean that it's your fault, except for the fact that the one scenario that we discussed. But an email was leaked, and this is the big bombshell. In fact, not many people are reporting this. I have a particular line of information that I was able to get. I'm not breaking it, right? Like, so it's not me that found this information or something like that. But I found it on a source that not many people are going to be sharing and stuff like that. But it is a reliable source, so you got to trust me here. Now, in fact, I'll put a link in the description if you're curious. I'm not saying the emails are real, 100%. I'm saying they're, like, probably real, like 60, 70% or something like that. Here's the bombshell email here. So this is the email between the line producer, who's basically, I'll explain that. A line producer is basically the person who's in charge of running the day-to-day, like, producing role on set. A lot of producers, they're not actually on set. They're running things remotely, or they're not even involved in the day-to-day enough to be clued in like that, right? They're just money and resource gatherers. But the line producer is supposed to be essentially the representative of all producers on set, and basically concerned with the budget mostly, right? And making sure that everyone's doing their jobs, because everyone's being paid by the producers, that everyone's doing what they're supposed to be doing. So they're the producer's eyes on set. And so there's an email between Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, the armorer, and the line producer, where they talk about issues, and this was leaked, and it's insane. So here we go. So the line producer sends the first email to Hannah saying, "Hey, we hired you to do 2 jobs at once, armor and assistant props," right? You remember that? And we're only able to do that because it's hard for us to find prop staff, and the union has allowed us to put you in 2 roles temporarily. So I'm mad that you're not fulfilling your props job well enough because you're too focused on the armorer stuff.
That's why she was gone for 5 minutes.
So she says she's focused too much on the guns instead of on the I'm like, where are your priorities? What are you talking about? That's exactly what you want her to be like. You know,
No,
you want her.
I can see it making sense if, like, it was like, oh, I don't know. It's not it's like it's hard because she's like take away from the armor, right, and add to the prop part. It made more sense she just said add to the prop part and just disregard the armor part.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, well, if she's slacking off on that part, then you gotta do it. But like, it was like, I don't know. Could you be doing too much as an armor? I feel like that's just a good job. I don't know. Like,
well,
I guess
it's like, okay,
I see too much is if you're like staring at the box the weapons in for like the entire day. You know.
I'll just tell you about what Hannah responded, which was actually a really great response. She basically says, "We are so tight scheduled that I barely have time to check all 12 guns that we have on set. I barely have time to make sure that they're locked up and safe, and I prioritize my armor jobs first. Then when I'm done with that, I then go to my props job, at which point I just listen to whatever the head props wants me to do, and I'll do whatever extra work is available. And if that means that some days when we're doing like wall-to-wall blank firing on set, which apparently there's some days that are scheduled like that, where it's just like from day start to day end, they're just shooting blanks all day basically, that she can't do it those days. And so she basically said, shove it. So that was a good response, right? Like, she basically outlined her
as responsible.
Yeah, exactly. She was like, she basically said
Is
exactly
there a reason why they're doing this in 12 days? Just seems like
apparently low budget is their excuse, but the more I look into it, the more it's like, this just seems like the heads were squeezing money out of the production. Actually, that's a whole angle I'll talk about later. But it sounds like the key assets were basically taking large paychecks away from the total budget, and they were trying to make the film as cheaply as possible so they could take away as much money as possible from the budget. But anyway, that's a whole other story.
Well, I think no matter how this goes, okay, they're probably somewhat responsible then, right? Because it seems like all these stories seem to just say that time is part of the issue. Is the fact that things are going too fast.
Yep, exactly. And then actually I missed. So in the original email, at the same time, the line producer then says, "Also, I heard yesterday that you left a shotgun alone, unattended, on a table. Why are you so bad at your job as being an armorer?" So she's complaining that she's not doing enough props, while at the same time say.
Is that the 5-minute thing? Or was that the same?
No, this is a shotgun, so this is a separate thing. I think.
Yeah. Okay.
This is before the incident. So she's saying simultaneously that she's focused too much on being the armorer, while also neglecting the one firearm thing. It's like, well, I mean, she's literally not two people, right? Like, I don't understand, like, what are you trying to ask of her? So why don't you just hire an extra person? That just sounds like the obvious thing that should be done, is you hire another person. But whatever. Yeah. Okay, so in any case, so Hannah responds with that, and then the line producer basically responds back that she's mad at her, and that she needs to get in line, basically, or I guess implicitly threatening her recommendations for the future and stuff like that. And she's early in her career, right? This is something speculated from the beginning, was that she may have been felt pressured to do everything perfectly, quote unquote perfectly, because this is like her second time or whatever, third time doing this, and these people are going to be giving recommendations to future sets and stuff like that. So that could have played into her mindset in terms of not making sure the set was safe before anything else, and walking off if need be, right? That's not an excuse, to be clear. That's not an excuse. If it ultimately is her fault, it's not an excuse. But it is an atmosphere that the production made, which also makes them also to blame, right? There's this gradient of blame that we can have. And the law allows that, right, guys? Like, you can sue all of these people. So it's not like one person has to be the person, so yeah, that's my news.
That was pretty big news from both of us.
Yeah, I guess we kind of filled out Ben's section just with that.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, we pretty much filled the time slot.
Yeah. All right, should we go on to your section?
Sure.